Anyways, I got the Savage 12FV out today, and so I see there's a couple different channels that are about to do some reviews, and I've had mine for a good long while now, and there's several thousand rounds down the tube. Maybe, if I was to guess, it's maybe 4,000 rounds down the tube right now, and I feel like I have a pretty good understanding of the rifle. I've shot factory ammo the entire time. I've shot no reloaded ammo from myself, and so I'm going to give you the perspective of a guy who's not reloading. You have to watch some of the other guys. I think the regressive, man, I can't remember the name of his channel. There's another guy who's doing a build in 6.5. He's going to put it in a chassis and stuff like that. I'm shooting mine just very factory with factory ammo. I'm giving you a different perspective, but he's got, oh yeah, the Social Regressive, that's what it is. Fantastic YouTube channel. Definitely subscribe, go like his videos. He's got really good content. I really appreciate his channel. But I'm just doing things the very factory way in this review. So like I said, around 4,000. It might be higher than that, but I'm trying to give a conservative number. Around 4,000 rounds. A lot of guys would say that 4,000 rounds is, you're going to see the degradation of the barrel by that point. So with this rifle, I'll just tell you how I have it configured at the moment. Like I said, everything is stock. I have a cheekerizer on there with just some Kydex and fabric underneath that. It's kind of janky, but this was super cheap. I actually got this rifle after the rebate for $219, and I'm hoping to buy another one this winter because I think Savage has regular rebates. Really cheap, $219. Underneath, I put a Picatinny adapter, and then I have the Magpul bipod on there because I just got that not that long ago, and I've been testing it between different platforms like my bolt actions and my ARs and stuff. And so I'm not going to say too much about that just yet, but it's on this rifle for now. And then we have some millet rings. They're steel rings. Of course, that's 34 millimeter, and the Burris XTR2 first focal plane G2B reticle. I probably could hammer out a review for this optic today too. Honestly, I've done enough shooting with it. But we're going to talk about the rifle. So it's 26 inches. It's a 1-9 twist, 223. That's what it's chambered in. It's 223. Over the time that I've had this, I started out just shooting whatever I had sitting around that was 223. In fact, I accidentally shot a lot of 5.56. I was kind of stupid, and I shot about 25 rounds of 5.56, and this is a really thick barrel, and it handled the pressure just fine. I don't see any stress cracks or anything like that. I didn't have any strange recoil indicators that something was wrong. I don't think you should be shooting 5.56 out of it, though. That's not a good idea. But I've shot the rest of it 223, and starting out, I shot like, you know, your Federal American Eagle, Wolf Gold, some faster rounds in the 55 grain range, and then I eventually settled on Perfecta. As far as 55 grain goes, Perfecta was the ammo with the speed and the right BC and all that to get everything hammered out pretty well, and that's about a 3/4 minute group shooting ammo. And I'm talking 5-shot groups, not 10-shot groups, but 5-shot groups. It's shooting 3/4 minute, and that's very consistent. That's not on my best days or anything. That's, you know, maybe even on my most average day. That's what I'm seeing with 55 grain ammo. I moved up and I started shooting 62 grain ammo, 69, and then eventually I settled with 75. So for long range, and I think I maybe threw in some footage before, or I will after, I'm shooting at what I would consider long range for 223, which is 800 yards. At 800 yards, I had a 12-inch, a 10-inch, and an 8-inch target. And I was able to repeatedly hit the 10-inch target with 75 grain ammo. And I was shooting in some harsh conditions. I can't remember all of it right off the top of my head. It was pretty windy, though, and it was very hot. It was 95 degrees. I remember that. So for a Minnesotan, that's pretty hot. And this rifle handled it really well. Actually, the other guys that they were at the range kind of put the rifles down and came over when I started ringing that minute of angle target pretty repeatedly. Not every time, but pretty repeatedly, maybe 3 out of 5 times, 6 or 7 out of 10 times is what I was seeing. The rifle did really well with a 75 grain. I was shooting the PPU. It's a boat tail hollow point. It's kind of modified a little bit. The PPU ammo in the 75 grain seems to shoot pretty well out of most 223s that I've shot. And so I was very happy with that. And then as far as, let's say 300 yards and in, the tightest shooting ammo that I have found was factory Fiocchi 50 grain. That's a polymer tipped boat tail round. and it's it's going to cost you about 45 cents or 40 cents if you buy it in bulk per round. So I don't know, it's cheaper than shooting .308. And accuracy wise, I'll throw in some footage right here just to show you some different groups that I've been able to achieve regularly with this rifle. So just quickly, I thought I would reference just a few targets that I saved for this review, just to give you an idea of what you can probably expect for the rifle with these types of ammo. So this is Fiocchi 50 grain at 250 yards, and so I don't know, that's a 4-shot group. It's not even a 5-shot group, but that's something like 3/8 inch right there at 250 yards, and obviously that could be a flyer, or it could just be a standard group size right there. What do we got here? So this is just at 200 yards. It's 1 7/8 inch group. Obviously I had a flyer. I know that was a flyer. So that could have been a nice, half MOA, a little smaller than half MOA group. This one, so this is 250 yards, and that's 3 shots. And I just kept that. I know 3 shots doesn't mean much at all in long range shooting, but I just kept that because it was cool. Started off good group, wasn't brave enough to continue it. For reference here, by the way, this is what a 1 MOA group looks like, and I just shot that with looks like Perfecta at that's 250 yards. That's what 1 MOA looks like. And so at 250 yards, getting 3 shots in the same hole, that was cool. Rifle certainly can do it kind of repeatedly. I'm not that shocked anymore when that happens. 5 shots at 200, I'm not sure how impressive that is. That was with an ammo I don't usually shoot. That was 68 grain. Trying to show you a couple more things here. So again, I know three shot groups don't mean much, but pretty consistently you'll see stuff like this. And I guess here's something for fair reference. More stuff. How many inches? Let's see. That's 200 yards. That's 1.5 inches. That's not overly impressive, but it is a good representation of what you can expect from the rifle. Certainly, if I was a better shooter and had a more stable platform, I think this should be a little tighter in theory. This is probably a good representation of what the rifle will do. That's 1 3/8 inches. So I have a throw in there. But for 200 yards, that's about the group size that you can expect. And let me get my ruler out here. See if that's true. Yep. So, something like that, even with a thrower, isn't bad, but, sub 1 inch at 200 yards, it's certainly going to keep that kind of thing all day long. Here's some stuff I shot recently. There's a 4-shot little clover leaf. There's a 5-shot group from today. Overall, I would just say that these are pretty standard. This is what you can expect to come home with from a range every day if you get the right ammo. These type of groups, not really surprising anymore. I do get surprised when I get 1/4 inch or tighter at 100 yards, or 1/4 MOA beyond 100 yards. I'm usually pretty impressed by that. That's definitely a keeper for the wall. All right, so there you have it. That's kind of the groups that I'm seeing with it. As far as ergonomics go and things like that, the stock is not amazing. It's not impressive. It's not rigid. But I have to admit, I'm seeing really good consistency. Any rifle that's shooting consistent 3/8 groups at 100 yards, and then even at 200, 250, 300 yards, I really see a consistent about 1/3 minute group, something like that. If I was to be, pretty fair across the board with that Fiocchi ammo, and as well as the 75 grain ammo, I have pretty good results with that. This rifle performs very well. It kind of concerned me that it's so long, and that's 1-9 twist. That's not preferable. At one point, I thought about selling this for the RPR just because I wanted bottom metal, but I got a rifle here that's $219. I did put a relatively expensive scope on there, but it's really not breaking the bank. This is a pretty affordable scope compared to many others. And this rifle holds fairly consistently 1/4 minute groups at 100 yards. Like, I have to do my part, but it's pretty consistent. 3/8, 1/4 minute, somewhere in there. I couldn't be exact about the numbers, but this rifle is shooting super tight. And for the RPR, and if you were to buy the 5.56 model, it's going to cost you about $800. I just think I'm going to hold on to this. It's extremely impressive. The bolt itself, it's a little bit heavy. When people criticize Savage, they usually criticize the bolt throw. And I'll admit, sorry, I'm not far from a highway. The bolt throw is very heavy on your first lift. After you've fired, it's pretty heavy. So you kind of have to put some face pressure into the rifle if you're shooting out of the prone to keep that guy down. It's relatively smooth. Ejection pattern is, yeah, it's kind of a weak point for the rifle. I've noticed there's a couple different rounds. Some American Eagle 50 grain that's non-polymer tip. I had a lot of trouble feeding that correctly. And then ejection pattern was really erratic, and it would sometimes leave it in the chamber, or not in the chamber, but it would leave it in the magazine area. It'd get caught in here. Wouldn't eject properly. I also have that problem if I'm being relatively wimpy with the 75 grainers. It seems like it shouldn't make a difference because brass is brass, but it just doesn't eject on those. I never have problems with 55 grain brass, so I don't know what to say about that. It seems like it shouldn't be different across the board, but ejection pattern issues are there. I've shot some steel case through it a little bit. It must be a pretty tight chamber because I've had problems with that. I wouldn't suggest shooting steel case through a rifle that you like anyways, but there's that. The bolt itself is an oversized knob. I find it to be pretty comfortable. I don't have problems grabbing it. The length of pull was a little bit short for me, but in the winter time, we always, in Minnesota, we have a lot of coats and stuff like that on, and so I don't even need kind of an adjustment feature on here, so I just have the coat. In the summertime, it's almost like I could use a 1/2 inch. That could be partly in due to the fact that I like shooting with heavy mag, and the eyepiece on this, or the exit pupil, whatever you want to call it, that range of adjustment where your eyepiece, or where your eye can sit and have a proper view of the reticle and everything. It's kind of technical on the scope, and so maybe it's more attributed to that. But I do think the stock could be just a hair longer. It's my opinion. But I'm a big guy. I'm 6'5". I'm not a 5'10" guy. A 5'10" guy would shoot this all day long, be just fine. This is a heavy rifle. You'll have to look up the poundage online. But once I threw this XTR in there, steel rings, the Magpul, sling and bipod, it's not a light rifle. It's just not a light rifle. I don't care about that though. I don't huck this thing around the woods a whole lot. I maybe throw it in the elderly stock backpack and hike with it every once in a while, and that backpack carries very, very well, so I don't notice any problems with that. But yeah, it's going to be a heavy gun. This is a varminter kind of gun, a target shooting gun lightly, maybe a competition if you take it out and put it in a chassis, which I know a lot of guys honestly do, and I'm not surprised. The accuracy that you get out of this rifle, if you can get this thing for under, let's say $350, I would say buy it every time. I don't know about other calibers, but if it's anything like what I've had here, it's nothing short of spectacular. It really impresses people. It actually bothers a lot of people that I've shot with. They'll say a bunch of crap about Savage, and sure, whatever, I'm not an expert, I don't know, but then I'll shoot repeatedly 5-shot groups, and they're seeing such tight results that they can't argue with that. You just can't argue with the results from this rifle. The trigger is adjustable to fairly light. I think I have mine set at about 2 pounds right now. It probably goes a little lighter than that, but I just have found that I'm liking 2 pounds as a setting for some reason. I've never run this in an actual PRS match. You would have a lot of trouble. We have beginner matches around here. You'd have a lot of trouble not having bottom metal. I think you can get a Boyd's @1. You can get some AICS mags, to run with that. Accuracy International mags or whatever. So there's modifications that can be made, but my opinion on this rifle is essentially I build up enough copper every 300 rounds. I strip the barrel, I refoul it, get copper equilibrium to be steady again, and I'm shooting really tight, so I just keep it as a target gun, a varmint gun. Heck, you could use it as a deer hunting gun if you had something to lean it against, a fence post or something. You're not going to be freestanding a lot with this. I think it's totally worthwhile. It shoots a heck of a lot better than the other guns that I'm shooting against. And these are guns that are expensive guns. In .223 anyways, I'll keep the comparison fair. So my recommendation is buy one of these. They're absolutely worth it. You can only get them through Cabela's. For the most part, you're not going to see them at other retailers. It's some deal that Cabela's worked out. I hope it keeps going because it's phenomenal. I don't know where else you can get a $219 rifle that shoots sub half minute. They'll just put it that way. You know, the Thompson Center craze that's going on right now, where they have the Compass rifle, I think it's called, and it claims to be capable of shooting sub minute, and I see guys that reload for it, and they're getting around half minute at best. But this rifle, factory ammo, factory barrel, not even really that well taken care of, and it shoots around quarter minute to 3/8. I'm just super impressed, guys. That's kind of all I have to say. If you have any questions that are real technical, post your comment down below and I'll try to get to that too. Overall, I just want to give you the go-ahead that this thing is solid enough, it's good enough. I would fully recommend this to anybody who wants a varmint or a target rifle on the cheap, a project rifle. This is the way to go. Heck, for me, it's not even a project rifle. I'm just leaving it, and it's great. This is gold. So Savage, good job. In the future, I may mess around with it a little bit. We'll see. Maybe I'll buy another one and put it in a chassis. But for now, this is the configuration you're going to see it in. So coming up next, I'll probably get to the review of the Burris XTR and hopefully soon the Magpul bipod that they just came out with. So I've got an adapter on. I forgot to mention that. Here's an adapter. Just one of those UTG adapters. Really simple. Puts the bipod up kind of tall, but I'll talk about that in another review. That's Gun Tote Minnesotan. Thanks, guys. Wind correction at 800 yards. Let's see if you can even hear it. It's a long time of flight. I don't know if you can hear that, but last 2 shots of the day make it count. Yes, got 1 shot left, 800 yards, 25 mile an hour winds. It's 223. Let's make this last shot count. Last hit of the day.